Good morning, everybody, and this is your DAX day trade setup for today. So we're at almost the last line of defense, and that is this area right where we close, which is 15,161. Obviously, these tails at the bottom is the absolute last line of defense before we drop. But this is an area that you can see buyers have been coming in quite often. You can see there was a last dip down and another dip down. Looks pretty similar if you look at it. For me on the daily, we're still in an upward trend. We are sort of just below the 155, but I'd want to see a break and a retest of that before I even start contemplating a trend reversal on the DAX. So for me, this is a fairly healthy pullback and probably bottom of a bigger range. So it doesn't matter which way you do it. Let's just put the range up like that. That's kind of the view that we've got. Even down to here would be still in the range. So I'm still sitting on my hands with the DAX, not really interested in getting into it. There hasn't really been much opportunity for me to get into it, based on my rules anyway. So last week was sideways. This week we started off with a big square down. Is it an exhaustion gap down? A very strong possibility. And then we ended up with range bar, pin bar. And then a little bit of a climb to the upside. So I don't think you must read too much into this. I think what's happening is the market's looking for structure. And the reality at the moment on the DAX is there is lots of structure to left. If I come back to the daily, it doesn't matter where you look, there is structure everywhere. So I wouldn't read too much into it just yet. So on the hour, you could see pretty strong downtrend. And hindsight being a perfect science, look at the past couple of days, we've been hovering below the 155, always an indicator that that is the trend. And you can see break, and there was a decent retest of that trend. So hindsight being a perfect science, Friday was a pretty good opportunity to be short and just wait. And that would have netted a fairly decent position, because it would have come off structure. You would have had a 176 point stop loss, and you probably could have banked somewhere yesterday at around 560 pips gain. But anyway, hindsight's always a perfect science. For me at the moment, this is just wait for structure. We need to wait to see what's going to transpire. I suspect we'll probably bounce off here. If we do get that high, there is a gap up here. So I'd expect us to bounce off and then come back and possibly find support at 15,160, which would be the gap close. At the moment, we are up. I'll give it to you now. If I remember correctly, we are up 0.57%, up 86 points. So, yeah, whatever. I think wait for the move up, wait for the move down, wait for the structure to build. As soon as you start seeing structure, then that's the opportunity to start adding some longs. Don't pay attention to all the noisemakers, guys. There's lots of all of a sudden the perma bears have come out in force because they've seen one red day. That doesn't mean that the market's going to fall to the floor. So just pay attention to the structure that you see and stick to your plan. Don't let outside influences influence your thought process. And that actually goes for me as well. So I'm trying to give you my views of where my structure is and where my stop losses are. And I'm more often right than wrong. So therefore I am profitable. But it didn't happen overnight, trust me there on that one. Anyway, I'm waiting on this, not really interested in getting in short, not really interested in getting in long just yet. There's no clear structure for me as of yet. Okay, so the other thing before we just sign off, that is a range technically. So we've gapped up, and what's a bet that this range is that level up there, and pretty close. So that's the area that I would see. If we do gap up, bit of structure, that's probably where we're going to get to, 15,297, 15,300 area, and then it'll be decision time. Are we going to reject that area, which I would expect us to reject it, maybe come to 50% of the range, or come all the way down here to test it, and then bounce. That would give us a higher low. That would give us more confidence for a longer term view to close this gap up here. So nothing really else that I can add to this. And just on the weekly as well, you can see what has happened every time we've come into this zone. The buyers have stepped in. Okay, Anyway, so it's wait and see for me on the DAX. Not really interested in risking any capital on the DAX right now. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.